We're coming up on the hottest 2 weeks out of the entire year for the Northern Hemisphere, at least according to the climate normals. But over the last few days, weather conditions in the Pacific Northwest have been redefining just what hot means for that region. I'm going to show you some of the astounding records that are still being broken and show you all of the factors that came together to make that happen in this week's Heather's Weather Wise. The word unprecedented gets way overused, at least in my mind, but in this case, it definitely applies.
Seattle set a new all-time high temperature record 2 days in a row. That's now 108 degrees. Portland hit 116, which is now the third highest temperature for any major U.S. city. Just a bit farther north, a town in southern British Columbia, Canada, reached 118 degrees. 2 days in a row. That is now the national temperature record for all of Canada. And this heat wave is still going in some areas this week.
Part of the reason that this heat wave is such a big deal and so concerning is that most homes in coastal cities like Seattle just don't have air conditioning because historically, you really didn't need it. The peak average high temperature for Seattle is just 72 degrees, but this weather pattern has pushed temperatures up to 30 degrees above those normals in a lot of spots. So now the question, how? If you've been following my work for a little while, you know what I'm about to say. There are several factors all working together, spanning from short-term weather patterns to, yes, Earth's changing climate. But let's start with the short term. One of the large-scale weather patterns you've probably heard a meteorologist mention, a big ridge of high pressure. One of them parked itself right over the Pacific Northwest a couple of days ago, and it became really intense. Actually, it was one of the stronger systems that the area has seen on record. Well, underneath that high, the air starts to sink, and as it sinks, it warms. High pressure also pushes clouds and rain off to the perimeter, so you've got a lot of sunshine, and then underneath all of that hot, dry air, the ground starts to dry out too. Those factors alone would have been enough for an impressive heat wave, but now we bring in climate change. There's plenty of evidence to show that human-caused climate change is leading to increasing air temperatures. Climate change is also leading to longer and more intense droughts for already arid places like the desert Southwest and the interior Northwest. According to the National Drought Mitigation Center, nearly half of the land area in the western states is experiencing an extreme or exceptional drought. The historically dry ground in these areas actually allows for more intense heat because it heats faster than a region with stable groundwater. And this cycle of long-term drought has been intensifying for at least several years. The unfortunate thing is that the drier the ground gets, the greater the potential for intense heat is, and the hotter it gets, the drier the ground gets. That cycle continues, that's going to bring up another concern, wildfires. So far this year, over 1 million acres have burned in a wildfire. Some of that is natural and actually necessary. But there's no doubt that we and our connection to climate change are a huge part of the problem. For more information on the connection between climate change and wildfires, watch one of our Climate Minute episodes at WGRZ.com/climate. That's it for this week's Heather's Weather Wise. I'll see you soon with a new topic, but until then, remember it's good to be a geek.